We're reaching out to survivors that are scared to come forward. So that's the list that we're compiling. We're not quite sure, how we're going to release that, or even if we're going to. The Department of Justice needs to release the list.
Right, for folks at home, they might be confused. Survivors know the names. You've seen these powerful people. Why can't you say the names?
Why do we have to say the names when the government knows the names? And we're also scared to do so.
Haley Robson, for her to be like, I came forward, I named names, whatever, I said, I told the truth, I told the FBI, I told the police, whatever, and then my reward was to be serially harassed by the most powerful men on earth for decades. Until today, I get death threats. And then for you to be like, well, why don't you just say the names? What's stopping you from saying the names? He's like, did you not listen to what we just said? This shit's fucked.
The speaker and others have said that the people he met with yesterday had concerns about your names being released if this bill were passed. And some people...
So this is House Speaker Mike Johnson. Again, some bullshit being like, well, we can't release the files because there's their name. The victims' names are on it. We don't want to re-traumatize them. We don't want people to find out about that. We just can't. And yeah, we could redact it, but I'm all out of my big black Sharpies, out of ink, and it's dry. So sorry, I don't think we'll ever be able to release them. That old chestnut. Hey, it's the Goblin Queen. So this was the press conference that I mentioned earlier. Trump gets brought up many times in this press conference. In particular, his insane claim that Epstein's a hoax. That made a lot of these women very upset. So these are all women who chose, I think, a really smart time to come out, go to the Capitol Hill. Part of this rally is on the steps of the Capitol, as you'll see, with some lawmakers. Because Trump had sort of semi-successfully, I'll say, made this story leave the mainstream kind of press. Oh, to the Finland station. Great question. What do y'all make of Nancy Mason MTG on this? It's weird. Like I said, Epstein is a unifying issue. There's two Democrats that have put the bill forward, Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, I think his name is. And then Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and there's one other one, right? There's another particularly insane person who's come forward. Republican sponsors Epstein Files Transparency Act. I think that's what it's called. Full list of Republicans signing discharge to blah, 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 blah. The 4 Republicans. Okay, 4. 4 of them. And who are they? Where are they? Here we go. Thomas Massie's Republican? Okay, there it is. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert. Wait, okay, Thomas Massie is Republican. Okay, I thought Massie was a Democrat. I do find it interesting, though, that, the 3 women, aside from Thomas Massie, I mean, hey, props to him for doing this, making an enemy out of Trump. That is, a legitimately brave thing to do. Maybe that's, faint praise, but, yeah, this might be the end of your political career if you do that. So I guess I think it's fair to say. But, isn't it interesting that the 3, sorry if I sound a little bit, woke here, not to sound woke, but, interesting that it's 3 women Republicans who are the other ones who came forward to sign on to this bill. And I think obviously Marjorie Taylor Greene is very QAnon pilled. Same with Lauren Boebert. Nancy Mace seems just an all around, I don't know. I don't want to be cruel. I don't want to bully Nancy Mace, but she seems kind of insane. But Nancy Mace, she met with the Epstein survivors and she was in tears. She's crying. And I think there's a reason that it's women, because yeah, you could be well, they're all crazy, but yeah, but there are a lot of crazy dudes in the Republican Party who talk a lot about how much they hate pedophiles and talk a lot about Bill Clinton and prop up a ton of QAnon, Pizzagate, way out there, anti-Semitic conspiracies. And yet they don't want to release the Epstein files. I think that's really, really fucked up. And I think that in Nancy Mace's case, she actually has been a victim of, or a survivor of sexual assault, which I think that would inform how you would think about an issue like this. And I think in Marjorie Taylor Greene's case and maybe Lauren Boebert's case, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she seems to actually believe what she says about, this isn't, she's not just being politically expedient when she says there's like Jewish space lasers or something like that. Thomas Massey, I guess some people are saying he's a libertarian Republican, and so he's like a true believer. Yeah, Nancy Mace is a drama queen, but I mean, like, she's usually a drama queen in a way that, like, I mean, she's trying to help her career, like all of her anti-trans stuff, right? This one, I don't know. It rings different to me. Like, it rings like, I don't see why you would break with Trump on something like this unless you really believed it was important. Because Trump is like being pretty clear, like, hey, if you stand with the Democrats on this, we are at war. You know what I mean? So, like, hey, I don't know. What are you going to do? I don't think he's saying that Trump was a super spy who was informing on Epstein over the years. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, no. Reductio ad absurdum, right? That was a comedic exaggeration of what he's saying. But what would you say he's saying? You think, but with the Speaker Johnson thing, saying that Trump was an FBI informant, I guess like the nicest, like the steel man you could make of that is that, hey, like Trump was asked about Epstein like during the investigation, and he was very straightforward with the FBI. He helped the FBI learn about it, which I don't know that he ever did. I know that he did that with Brad Edwards in 2009. Trump was the one who gave the anonymous tip to the FBI in 2005 that got him arrested the first time. Oh, okay. That could be. I can see that being. The feds only got involved later. That's true. So that's a good point, Finland. I think you're right. I actually hadn't interpreted it that way. But he's saying that Trump was the one who gave the anonymous tip to the FBI in 2005. And that's actually what Epstein thought. I think I heard Nancy Mace say the same thing. But yes, to the Finland station is correct. The feds only got involved later on. At first, Palm Beach police were tipped off about young women coming and going from Epstein's home. This was a mother of a 14-year-old girl or something. I don't exactly remember how old she was, but like a teenager, found like $600 in her purse and was like, "What? Where did you get this?" And she was like, it's this rich guy. Like, we go to his house and we like give him a massage. And she like told her, and she was like, "Wait, what? Like, you and all of your friends are doing this? That's crazy. Okay, we got to take this to the cops." And they took it to the police. And then the police, because they had this one girl, the girl gave them the girl that recruited her and other girls she knew who were going. And then they went to those girls, and those girls gave them more girls. And they like uncovered this like vast pyramid scheme of sexual assault. And it was Detective Rickeri was one of the guys, Police Chief Michael Reiter. He was the guy who, like, so when the FBI did step in, so the Palm Beach police began a 13-month undercover investigation of Epstein, including a search of his home. During the investigation, Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Reiter publicly accused the Palm Beach County State Prosecutor Barry Kreischer of being too lenient and called for help from the FBI. So that is when the FBI got involved. So it does not seem to be the case. There's no record of Donald Trump talking to the FBI, of the FBI making any first moves on this case. This case was uncovered by the Palm Beach Police Department. And we know how it started. We have all this whole thing. And like, hey, like ACAB, whatever, fuck the cop, the police, yada, yada, yada. But the cops, like, this is how fucked up this story is, that the Palm Beach police are like the, like, morally most like correct in like this whole story, almost like of everybody who is supposed to be trying to help these girls, the Palm Beach police genuinely seems to be, you know? And they were like furious seeing that, guys, we have so much evidence. This is like a dream case. Any lawyers, like prosecutors, dream case. This is an incredible amount of evidence we have. Like, why are you not moving on this? And first they were like, we got to get the FBI involved. And then once they did get the FBI involved, the feds got involved. Does it say the year? This would have been not in 2004, but around probably 2005, 6. In any case, the FBI got involved at that point. And then, you know, the case fell apart, as we all know. Maybe they talked to Trump at some point, but as far as I know, the first person to talk to Trump was the lawyer, Brad Edwards, who we'll also see in this press conference. Hope that isn't too much inside baseball there. Not inside baseball, that's not the right term, but like background that isn't super interesting. Oh, yo, I'm getting people in the Twitch chat. Yo, Twitch. Yeah, I made like a bunch of I made a bunch of emotes for Twitch, but I mean, I don't know how to do it. Okay, now to the thing here. This is interesting. We got some interesting stuff here. So a lot of people spoke. This is Liz Stein over here. She is an Epstein victim who, you know what's interesting? So here's something that I noticed. Epstein, I believe Epstein had well over 1,000 victims. We have not even seen like the tip of the iceberg, the tip of the tiniest point of the iceberg, whatever, as to like Epstein's victims coming forward. And any of these women who have come forward are being incredibly brave, especially considering all of the extremely wealthy and powerful men who are implicated in this. So it's great to see this press conference. So many women came. They showed their face. They attached their name. They're publicly, and a bunch of them did it for the first time ever. So that's awesome. Really, really cool to see. But one thing I've noticed is a lot of these women who have been able to, survive and thrive, whatever, I shouldn't say thrive, but a lot of the women who have been able to survive this trauma and move forward and then go back and do something like this and publicly stand by this experience. A lot of them have a lot of them work in like trauma counseling for women, some sort of like sexual assault survivors support thing. Like so many of them are like trauma therapists or work in some way in this kind of whatever world. I don't know. I just find that so interesting. And I imagine that like, that is probably like, I guess like sort of like that plane with all the dots on it, like the survivorship bias or whatever, where it's like, wow, a lot of the women who go through this end up working in this field. And it's like, well, we don't know all of the women who went through this. We only know the ones who are standing by this experience, going out there, telling their story, whatever. Anyway, but yes, I believe Liz Stein does work in this. I think she says at the beginning. This is Siegfried Macaulay. She's one of the lawyers for the victims. Here's Annie Farmer. So this was the first victim of Epstein's to come forward in like 94. She's a trauma counselor. She's a what's it called? Psychologist? Therapist? I forget exactly what it is she does. Survivor testified against Ghislaine Maxwell. As a therapist, I'm here to help you through these challenging periods. This is her website. Anyways, so these guys this is Sam Roberts, the guy with the beard there, and his wife, Amanda Roberts. Sam Roberts is Virginia Roberts Giuffre's brother. And his wife, I think, Amanda Roberts. And he gave an interesting speech. And at one point he gave a list of demands, which I thought was very interesting. Let me show that. It's somewhere around here.
It does not and must not bend to money, influence, or titles. We are here because every survivor deserves more than a headline. They deserve more than a single conviction. They deserve the full weight of the law behind them. Our demands are clear. Ghislaine Maxwell must remain in a maximum security prison for the rest of her life.
Which means, if you didn't hear the news, so Ghislaine Maxwell has been moved to a minimum security prison. Actually, she's in a prison where everyone in that prison is supposed to get the ability to have like day releases, like Epstein had back in like 2009 when he was in jail. Ghislaine moved into a prison like that where she is apparently supposed to get to be able to like leave the jail for days, whatever, like 12 hours a day, something like that. Insane. Yeah. Von Batista. That does make sense. I see what you're saying. I think you're right. I think that probably is what Johnson was trying to say, rather than that he's a super spy. But Maria Farmer. Okay, very interesting, Mark. Yes, Maria Farmer has gone into depth on this many times. Maria Farmer's Annie Farmer's sister. She was Epstein's concierge at his New York apartment. She's talked about Trump showing up. She's talked about Bill Clinton showing up. She's talked about Trump and Bill Clinton. She thinks are definitely like pedophiles. She's like been very, very clear on that. She has a story about like Trump going to see her and like she had just gotten to work and she was wearing like a rollerblading outfit or something like that. And Trump was like said something really creepy or like looked at her legs or something. I forget exactly what it was. And then I think Epstein was like to Trump, he's like, "Oh, she's not for you. Come with me," as if to be like, "Oh, that one isn't like that. Like she's not one of my whatever girls that you get to assault. Come with me to meet those girls. I don't know. That's sort of what the implication was. Anyway, getting a little bit off topic here, but I did want to show this from Virginia's brother. So demand number one, Ghislaine must not go to a minimum security prison. She already is there, but I guess the demand would be put her back in max.
No leniency, no deals, no special treatment.
That's right. Send her back to Florida.
The Epstein documents must be unsealed. Every name, every detail, no more secrets, no more protection for those who preyed on the vulnerable. And finally, we demand full accountability from every enabler, every accomplice, every person in power who turned a blind eye. The justice system was not designed to serve the powerful. It was meant to protect the people. And it's time it started doing just that.
Yes.
This movement isn't just about the past, it's about reshaping the future. A future where survivors are not shamed, silenced, or ignored, but heard, honored, and empowered.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for standing here, for fighting alongside us, and for refusing to let this story end with injustice. Virginia's voice echoes in every one of us. Let's make sure the world keeps listening. I want to end it with a quote from Virginia, and I'm
Sorry, I didn't intend to show this much of it, but I find this very powerful. Hang on, we'll watch the rest of this quote from Virginia, and then I'll talk about it a little bit.
going to hand it over to my wife, Amanda.
This is a quote from Virginia's journals. I look forward to the days when money and power does not stop the truth from coming out and the righteous prevail.
Short and sweet. So, yeah, I found that really powerful. Sam Roberts, I'd never seen him before, but you can really tell he's Virginia's brother. Like they look very similar. Now, Virginia, if you're not familiar with Virginia Giuffre, she is a person who is like incredibly admirable, like one of the coolest people ever. She was not the first victim of Epstein's to like accuse him. That would be, I believe, the Farmers, Annie Farmer, Maria Farmer. She was the first victim to be public, to come out. And she was Epstein's like favorite girl for like years. And then she escaped. It's a crazy story of her escape. She married this guy in Australia. She got away from them. And then she was just going to lay low and they're like threatening her, but then they just kind of left her alone. And then after he went to jail and she was just like, what? He's just gets like a slap on the wrist. That's it. She was like, fuck that. She tried to get things going. She like tried to talk to authorities. Nobody was listening to her. She went to publications. Nobody was publishing what she was saying. So she ended up going to the UK and talking to a bunch of like the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail, like in the early 2000s, that was like the only place that there was, or not the early 2000s, but like in like the 2010s, whatever. They published so much shit about Epstein, and they interviewed Virginia. They published the photo of her with Prince Andrew with his hand around her waist and Ghislaine there. She talked to them. She would talk to anyone. She was like determined to get the story out. She tracked down with Tara Palmieri, this journalist, Tara Palmieri and Virginia. They tracked down a bunch of the employees of Epstein, the butler, the maid, the cook, people who she saw every day when she was at like Epstein's apartments, like walking around as an underage girl naked in his house. And then she'd talk to the chef and she'd talk to the whatever butler. Like they saw everything according to her. They saw everything. She named names too, guys. Like she named Dershowitz. She named so many names, right? Like that is so crazy that she did that. So brave, so like incredible bravery, right? She's very, very like legit for that. She was the first one to do that. And now going forward, this, like we have the biggest ever like press conference of Epstein victims. We have so many more victims that have come forward because of what Virginia did. Like if it wasn't for Virginia Giuffre, we would probably not know about any of this shit. Like that's how fucking big what she did was. That's you can see on Sam Roberts' shirt there. There's a little butterfly. I just noticed that. That's Virginia's like symbol. She had it on her like Twitter picture, and she just loved butterflies. So that's like a reference to her. But like it is such a like horrifyingly like what's the word? Like it's just so unfair. It's such a tragedy that Virginia passed away just a few months ago. She was not able to come to this press conference because she was like the mom of the group, you know, like she helped all these women to come forward, and they all thank her in their speeches, and they all called each other their survivor sisters. And Virginia was like the one who really like helped to kind of bring everyone out, and everyone has so much admiration for her. Anyway, I thought that was like a really powerful like speech to hear from her brother. I had never seen him before, but like, yeah, really, really just tragic that she wasn't able to make it to this, because she would have loved this shit. She would have absolutely like loved this whole thing and what it represents. But yeah, so what were the 3 demands? Ghislaine goes back to like maximum security lockup. We got to release all the files, and we got to go after everyone, every single one. All right, the next person is Teresa Helm.
The world is watching. And before I step away, I wanted to add one quick thought. Let's stop calling it an Epstein client list. And let's call it what it actually is. It's Epstein's sex buyer list. Thank you.
What did call it what? I just like couldn't quite get that. Let's not call it the Epstein client list. Let's call it the Epstein's sex pyre. I couldn't quite get it. Let's just hear it one more time.
And let's call it what it actually is.
And it gets a big applause. There's no client list. Yeah, that's right. Epstein's.
It's Epstein's sex buyer list.
What? If anyone has an idea of like what exactly she's saying there, like I just can't quite hear it. Oh,
it's Epstein's sex buyer list.
I think you're right. One Mad Apple. Buyer. Sex buyer list? Although, what would be the difference between a sex buyer and like a client? Although I guess it's like client list could mean like they're just getting like whatever financial yada, 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 whatever that bullshit is. I think it's buyer. Spire. Yeah, sex spire. Yeah, at first I was like, sex pyre? Is that like a vampire but for sex? What do you mean? But no. I think it's got to be buyer. Yeah, I think we're on buyer. That's got to be it. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean I think that makes sense, because the client list is a little bit less intense. I find it interesting how many of these women, and actually one in particular you'll see I think coming up next, the whole thing where it's like this whole belief that it's like Epstein didn't have clients like that. He wasn't, you know, letting his friends have sex with these girls. He was just a pedophile for himself. That's all he did. Like, a lot of these women seem to not think that, and they would know. But actually, this next one, this is Lisa Phillips.
I'm so proud and honored to be here today. My name is Lisa Phillips, and I'm the host of award-winning podcast From Now On, where I interview survivors. In the year 2000,
yeah, just another person who's like kind of, I guess like the way that they were able to heal and move forward was by like helping other people who'd been through similar things. And like, I don't know. I think that's like, that's pretty cool. I've never listened to her podcast, but maybe I'll check it out. See if there's anything interesting on there. But there's one really interesting part of her speech. One second. Around here. Let's go back a little bit before this.
Declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. That's right. Thank you.
How about that, eh? Love that idea. Because it's like, you know, even the information that we have, like as we've done on the stream before, you can get a pretty good idea of who at least some of the clients were. You know, you can look at the people who, you know, whatever. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. You can look at the people who Virginia accused. You can look at who other survivors have talked about. You can look at photos. You can look at, there's all kinds of ways. You can look at who Alfredo Rodriguez circled in the Black Book, and especially his list at the end of names. You can look at all of that. and like you can get an idea. But like this, it's like, yes, like why? Like I mean, I say, why hasn't this been done before? But it's like, obviously these women are, I would say, rightly afraid of putting out these names of like some of the most powerful like people on earth. So yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah. Oh, so people are talking about Jack Nicholson. So the Jack Nicholson thing, there's a couple of things I can pull up real quick. 1 second.
DiCaprio didn't end up yielding any results, but then I found this photo of Jack Nicholson.
Okay, here we go.
This picture was taken on September.
There it is. So look at that, guys. That's Jack Nicholson and Lisa Phillips, who this is her. So that's Lisa Phillips now, but here she is when she was how old?
27th, 2002, at a premiere after party at Man Ray, New York City, for the movie About Schmidt, which starred Nicholson in this titular role. If you have any healthy skepticism that the party guest in this picture is Lisa Phillips, it can be confirmed by the distinct beauty mark that she has off to the side of her chin. When I first heard Phillips talking about her encounter with this nameless celebrity at this movie premiere party, I assumed he would have just been one celebrity out of many at this event. But this was...
So, okay. Yeah. That's one connection with Jack Nicholson. This is Ashley Rubright. I don't remember hearing from her before, but I maybe I have. I don't know. Here is Haley Robson. So this is a woman who was you may recognize from Jeffrey Epstein Filthy Rich documentary on Netflix. She is, I think, a great speaker. I almost want to play her full speech, but I won't. I'll play an interesting part of it though. Wait, why is it not? Hang on. Okay. So this is a part where she's talking about, well, I'll just play. She's talking about the other victims who couldn't be there today.
I am so proud to stand with them. I am so proud to be up here to support them because they deserve all the love and support. And I just want to say to the women who chose this moment to come out for the very first time about your abuse, I cannot think of a more important, greater purpose in life than to stand in solidarity when time is against us, when the politicians have made us an enemy, when the world is watching and everybody is hoping for some type of result. Thank you for choosing this moment for the first time to be so brave to come out and stand in solidarity. I prayed for a moment. I prayed for this moment where God would fill us with reinforcements. I want to acknowledge all the women, unfortunately, that couldn't be here today, because I think that is the only list of real great importance, and we should never forget the voices that were not only silenced, but that are not here today, and we should never forget the sacrifices that they made. So today I would like to take a moment for Virginia, Sky, Danielle, and Carolyn. Their voices were just as powerful, and they were silenced just as much. And for some reason, I can feel their spirit, especially Virginia's today. She would be so proud, and she would be so beside herself to see this one moment we have all came together to unite. And for our government, and for the politicians who have taken our trauma and have weaponized it against us, making it unbearable, making it unlivable, making it hard to move on in a life that we wish to live in happiness and joy and peace and injustice that can only come from within at this point. And we have gotten to this point. Shame on you. Shame on you for using our trauma to weaponize this moment. We are not going to be fooled by your trickery. We are not going to be fooled by the lies, by the conspiracy theories. We are the keys to this situation. We have the truth. And the FBI knows the truth. The government knows the truth. You may pull the wool over the sheep's eyes, but we are the keys. We know who was involved. We know the game. We know the players. And we are sitting here for 20 years waiting for you to get up and do something. Well, guess what? Your time is up, and now we're doing it.
So good. I thought that I was like, I'm moved by that. Like, I mean, she is quite a good speaker, I would say. Like, she could be like a politician, although she's conservative. Unfortunately, she's like a registered Republican, but she's very, very like passionate and like very good like speaker. And I mean, like, a lot of the women who spoke at this say like this is not political, this is not whatever. And like, you know, I don't want to make it political. And so you get the sense that like they're all frustrated by people using the Epstein story to advance their own narrative. You know, people using it to attack Donald Trump, people using it to attack Democrats, people using it for whatever kind of political purpose. And you can imagine how frustrating that would be for one of the victims. It's like, no, you're not actually trying to get to the truth. You're trying to get to the whatever. Like, but you just really feel that from hers. And yeah, I was really blown away by her speech. Really, really good. She's looking right at the audience. She's not looking at like notes or anything. This is all like from the heart, you know? She's got cool sunglasses. Anyway, yeah, she seems very cool. Another thing is like this sort of like the vibe is almost like church-like, you know? Like, especially for her speech, but for a lot of them, like they're speaking to a bunch of other survivors, like even more survivors than we get to see speak were there that day. And like people are like cheering and like responding and being like, that's right. It almost has like a black church. It's like call and response kind of thing. But especially with Haley Robson's speech. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was really cool. And she mentions a few victims who've passed away. There's Virginia Giuffre, obviously. She said Carolyn, that's Carolyn Andriano, I think is her name. And she mentioned Skye, that's Lee Skye Patrick, or Leigh Skye Patrick. Not sure exactly how it's pronounced. But I'm not sure who Danielle was. But yeah, I mean, also important to name these other victims. It's incredible that Virginia was able to do as much as she did, but at the end, she suffered from like severe trauma from her time in Epstein's orbit, and going through what she did just like re-traumatized her again and again. She was attacked in the press and attacked by people like Alan Dershowitz and his minions, and attacked by like all of these powerful people, and just like made her life miserable. And at the end, like, you know, however she died, a lot of people don't think it was a suicide, but whether or not it was a suicide, she was a victim of Epstein. She was a victim of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's abuse. And yeah, I mean, it's just so tragic. This is Wendy Passante, I think is her name.
How do you follow that? Hello, everybody. My name is Wendy Passante, and I was abused by Jeffrey Epstein when I was 14 years old.
All right, so there's Wendy Passante. The next person comes up. I don't know who the next person is. She doesn't say her name, but she gives a little speech. Don't quite know who that might be. Then we have Jess Michaels around here. There's a new person. This person is named just Rosa. I don't think they gave her last name here, but this is someone who's never come forward before. So she just came forward. This is her lawyer, and so she came out to show her face and show her support and whatever. Stand on the steps of the Capitol. So yeah, that's Rosa. Here's Gloria Allred. Now, Gloria Allred, I've talked before, and she closes off this section of the press conference, and she gives like a pretty good speech, and she gets everybody. She really gets into the call and response thing. She's like, "What do we want?" Like, yeah, yell at it, whatever. She like brings her own microphone, and I know she's like,
believe women, believe women.
Yeah, that's basically the vibe. And she's sort of famous feminist, you know, lawyer, but I gotta say, I'm a little bit like, I don't fully. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is unfair, but her daughter, Lisa Bloom, is a person who was very like instrumental in helping Harvey Weinstein, and was going behind like Ronan Farrow, was like pretending to be friends with Ronan Farrow, gathering information for Harvey Weinstein, and then going to him directly and helping Harvey Weinstein with his defense while she was out in public, like publicly being like, oh, Me Too movement, we need to like make sure that Weinstein's held accountable, we need to like go after Donald Trump. She was like the lawyer for Katie Johnson, one of the only woman who ever accused Trump and Epstein of sexual assault. She was her lawyer, and that case fell apart in a weird catch and kill kind of way. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's weird for me to blame all that on her mom, but maybe I just don't know that much about Gloria Allred, and if I knew more of her story, I'd be like, nah, she's legit. Her daughter's fucked, but she's cool. Anyway, so then they leave. Then they go to the Capitol Hill. This part of the press conference is at Capitol Hill. So look at this. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey. The Epstein Files Transparency Act. Let's watch a little bit of just the intro here. There's Anushka DeGiorgio right there. If you watched our last stream. Hey, I am not a fan. Like, I assume Only Onions. I assume you're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene here. I'm not a fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene at all. I think she's basically a fascist, but I'm a fan of what she's doing here. I think it's very legit that she took this stand against Trump. And it's like, okay, you're a fascist, but you actually are against pedophiles. So, okay, that's cool. Only 4 Republican members of Congress support this bill. Only 4. 3 of them women. Okay, this is just, they're not starting it yet. It's just whatever, hot mic moments.
But you can speak for you. Good morning. Perfect.
So Ro Khanna opens it up.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hello. Please, if we could, just out of respect for particularly the survivors who are going to speak, if we could have some silence, and if folks could just please calm down. People can speak when members of Congress are speaking. I just want to make sure that the victims and survivors are going to be heard today. I want to begin by thanking Brittany Henderson and Brad Edwards for their tireless work.
There's you can see our himbo here, our favorite lie himbo, Brad Edwards, and his wife, Brittany Henderson. Where's she? I think that might be her there. Sorry, I'm not sure if you guys can see where I'm pointing at, but yeah, they're a husband and wife legal team who represent a lot of the survivors, and they helped to organize this. They were Virginia's lawyers as well. All right, let's keep going.
In the pursuit of justice, and I want to thank Sarah Drury on my team for working with them. Above all, I want to thank the survivors who are here today, whose courage and strength have brought us to this moment. I want to thank my co-lead, Congressman Thomas Massey, and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Crazy that Ro Khanna and Marjorie Taylor Greene are co-sponsoring a bill. That's crazy, guys. Like, do you fully grasp how insane that is? That's so nuts.
For standing with survivors here today. Today, as you can see, we're united in restoring trust in government. We're here not as partisans, we're here as patriots. We begin the work of bringing this country together, progressives, independents, moderates, and yes, MAGA supporters, to demand truth and justice.
Yeah.
A nation that allows rich and powerful men to traffic and abuse young girls without consequence is a nation that has lost its moral and spiritual core. Americans are asking a very simple question.
He's not exactly an electrifying speaker, is he? But, hey, whatever.
How is it possible that in the richest, most powerful country in the world, there are corrupt special interest forces, both foreign or domestic, that are preventing the release, that have a stranglehold on our government and are preventing the release of the full Epstein files?
Anyway, there's you get the idea. That's Ro Khanna. Then Thomas Massey comes up.
I want to thank my colleague Ro Khanna for co-leading this effort to bring transparency and justice for these victims. I hope my colleagues are watching this press conference. I want them to think, what if this was your sister? What if this was your daughter? When these survivors speak, the Washington establishment is asking the American public to believe something that is not believable. They're asking you to believe that 2 individuals created hundreds of victims and they acted alone, and that the DOJ has no idea of who else might have been involved, that nobody else did anything that rose to a criminal enterprise. The American people know that's not true.
Finland station. Foreign and domestic, huh, Ro? I wonder what foreign country he's talking about. Yeah, I don't know. Was Epstein affiliated with any foreign countries?
Now, the Speaker of the House just offered a fig leaf to my colleagues. They're going to vote on a non-binding resolution today that does absolutely nothing.
You know who he's talking about? This motherfucker. Speaker Johnson. He's calling him out. I mean, I love this. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't even know. I don't know Thomas Massey at all. Apparently people are saying he's a libertarian kind of Republican. But yeah.
I appreciate the efforts.
I think it's very commendable. I'm sure I would hate like most of the things this guy believes, but I mean, libertarians are like probably the best kind of Republicans, to be honest. I find a lot in common with them. But even Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Nancy Mace is her name? Nancy Mace? I always want to be calling her Nancy Grace, but no, that's a different person. But like for them to put their fucking necks on the line for this, I think that's legit.
Of my colleague James Comer, who's leading the Oversight Committee. They may find some information, but they're allowing the DOJ to curate all of the information that the DOJ is giving them. If you've looked at the pages they've released so far, they're heavily redacted. Some pages are entirely redacted. And 97% of this is already in the public domain. So I'm calling on my colleagues, be one of the next two.
Yeah, they only need like just a couple other Republicans to sign it. All of the Democrats are signing this thing. Only 4 Republicans are, but it was a Republican and a Democrat that like started it. Actually, it's like a libertarian Republican and like one of the more progressive Democrats who started this bill. Like, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And then these 3 women Republicans, like MAGA, like they're all super MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. They also signed on, and they need, I think, another 2 Republicans. That's how fucked the Democrats are, that they need all this. But I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't think that'll probably happen. But
who sponsors this discharge petition? I think it's shameful that this has been called a hoax. Hopefully today we can clear that up. This is not a hoax.
Yeah, a lot of the girls, by the way, I think I said this before, but a lot of the girls mentioned that, like, what the fuck is this hoax thing? This is not a hoax. Also, look at all these like anti-Trump signs.
This is real.
In the background here. Pedophile of the United States. Victims. Friends. Na. Release the Epstein files. Hashtag pedo47. He is on the list. Release the files. Justice for survivors. Guardians of pedophiles. GOP. Yeah. I mean, what are you supposed to say to that? Yeah. Actually.
There are real survivors.
Okay, we don't need to watch much more of this, but I do want to play a little bit of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I feel like people are already like, but let's see.
Yes. Good morning. This is my 5th year in Congress, and this is the largest press conference that I've seen since I've been here.
That's crazy too. This is the largest press conference Marjorie Taylor Greene has seen. That's nuts. Cause I don't know. She goes to like a lot of the fucking crazy ones. Anyway, that kind of blew my mind a little bit.
And this is because this is an issue that matters so much to Americans. This is an issue that doesn't have political boundaries. It's an issue that Republicans and Democrats should never fight about. As a matter of fact, it's such an important issue that it should bring us all together. It's grieved me to watch the arguments and debates take place among my colleagues and even the administration. I think this is something that was worth fighting for. You see, the women behind me are going to tell you stories that you've never heard before. These are unimaginable horrors that they've lived with for their entire lives since they were very, very young. But these are also similar stories that many children, teenagers, women, and even men are enduring nightmares right now as we speak. You see, these women have been fighting since the 1990s. I heard one woman tell us yesterday since 1996.
It'd be Annie Farmer. Yeah, I don't know. We don't need to watch much more of that. But I mean, hey, what are you going to do? You got to like, for shit like this, we got to make strategic alliances. And I mean, like, it is genuinely like a bad career move for Marjorie Taylor Greene to make this stand. So it's hard for me to see how this could be like a self-serving thing, because Trump is not going to like it. I get what you're saying though, one man Apple. I still have a hard time thinking MTG is doing anything for genuine reasons, and not least partially because it came out that MAGA elite bullshit bullies talk shit about her behind her back. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I believe that. Anyways, all right, what else we got here? Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, Brad Edwards comes out after. Marjorie Taylor Greene talks, I think, the longest. She has like a really long speech. Here's Brad Edwards. Play a little bit of his. He's the lawyer, the law himbo.
Thank you, Ro and Thomas Massey. I really appreciate you putting forth this discharge petition. It's tough to understand that we have to be here because this doesn't seem like a partisan issue. This is an issue, sex trafficking and sexual abuse transcends politics. We as Americans expect equal protection under the law, and there can be no doubt that Jeffrey Epstein received far greater protection than any of the victims that he abused for years. In 2008, Courtney Wild walked into my office because she was a part of a federal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein where all she wanted was the government to talk to her. Little did she know the government had worked out a secret immunity deal for Jeffrey Epstein, and we had to file Jane Doe's versus United States of America to prove that Jeffrey Epstein worked out an illegal non-prosecution agreement with the government. That was 2008. It took us 10 years battling the government pro bono for the judge to ultimately determine that the victims' rights were violated. The government has mistreated them after Jeffrey Epstein mistreated them.
You know, going over the basic facts of the case. Yeah, I believe Marjorie Taylor Greene is a zealot, and this whole thing just plays into her fervor. Totally. And I mean, like, just to be as shitty as possible to her and give her the least benefit of the doubt, I think that she probably has, like, the most fucking, like, QAnon pilled base. And, like, this is a very bad issue for Trump right now. Trump does not look good with this shit. And I think that, like, it may be a calculation where it may be like a cynical move where she's like, well, obviously I'm MAGA and obviously I stand with Trump on everything, but I have too many people in my base care more about, you know, the Epstein files than they do about Donald Trump. So that's going to be my move. And I mean, yeah, like that could be. Okay, Russ, calm down, okay? Discharge your petition all over my docket, Senator. I don't even know who you're talking about there. All right, but that's him going over like the basic facts of the case, like, and how insane everything is. Here's Brittany Henderson. She usually has more of a this is his wife and partner, legal partner at Edwards and Henderson, I think is the name of their LLC. She comes up. She usually has more of a what's the word? I don't know. Compassionate kind of victim sort of. I don't know how to.
Hi, good morning. My name is Brittany Henderson, and I think in addition to thanking the wonderful congressmen and women who are here today, we need to thank the women, and not just the women who are going to speak, but the other women who are standing behind them, along with other lawyers, Sigrid McCauley, and people who have been fighting for a very, very long time for the world to give this kind of attention to an issue that it should have had forever. This administration has the opportunity to do what the past administrations did not do. This administration can either stand with the victims and stand for the victims, or it can continue to hurt the victims like has happened in the past.
Now, I think this is like a good strategic move. I don't think it's likely to work, unfortunately. But like she's saying, like she's like, it's very important to, you can tell from like, at least especially the people who are organizing it, like the lawyers and stuff. They're like, guys, this is not political. We are not pro-Trump. We're not anti-Marjorie Taylor Greene. At some point, someone sort of says like, guys, I know that you were like yelling. A lot of people booed when Marjorie Taylor Greene came out here, but she's actually on her side, guys. Like somebody says that. I forget exactly who, but like it's important. And I think the victims here were coached to say, to deflect any political questions. And like, you know, like it's, like that, this is what they want. They want Republicans to sign on to this bill. They don't want this to be an anti-Trump thing, right? Because they'll never win anything if they do it like that. This needs to be an apolitical thing. And so she is coming up there and she's actually pitching it to Trump, saying, "Why don't you be the guy that releases it? Why don't you do what no other administration did? What Joe Biden failed to do? You know?" Really, it was just going to be Trump or Joe Biden because no one even knew or cared about Epstein until like 2019, basically. But I don't know. You could also make the argument what Obama failed to do, what Hillary Clinton failed to do, whatever. Like, why don't Trump? You would like, how good would that make you look if you're the guy that releases these files? So I think it's smart. Yeah, like I agree, Goblin Queen. I think it's smart, but it's tough. It's hard because Trump's not going to be like, yeah, I will look good if I release all this stuff that proves that I'm a pedophile. You know what I mean? Like everything that we've seen so far of Trump, you got to know there's worse shit. There's way worse shit that we haven't seen that the FBI has. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to work. But I admire the strategy here. I can see what they're doing, and I think it's smart.
We aren't here just to ask for transparency, though. We're here, too, to ask for protection. The women here represent hundreds of other women who we have spoken to, many of whom were trafficked from other countries, from Eastern European.
Brad Edwards calls his wife, he calls her the victim whisperer or something like that. He's like, she's really the victim whisperer. She's really good at talking to these girls, whatever. Like, it's kind of funny, but you get that sense, from like listening to her. She has a lot of, I don't know, like compassion, and just seems like she really feels for these women and whatever. And Brad Edwards, when he talks, he's more like, this is outrageous, the blah, blah, blah. I worked on this case pro bono for 10 years. And she is much more focused on the survivors. And I think that they're both very valuable to the case. Moving on, we've got, friend of the show, not actually, but definitely someone that we like around here. The entire last stream, or the first hour of last week's stream, was all about this survivor here, Anushka.
Women while we seek transparency.
She goes on. One thing that I find frustrating is somebody who, as you may know, I have pored over her interviews and everything she said, because she, I believe, was trafficked to Donald Trump by Ghislaine Maxwell, if not Jeffrey Epstein himself. She dated Trump immediately after she was with Epstein, and she went back to Epstein afterwards, and she was apparently Trump bought her a ring, in 1997. There's a whole thing about this. And she has always been very, very careful about revealing too much, which makes sense, especially since Trump is the president. And so with all that in mind, she speaks about these topics very well. Yeah, that's right. Trump's Brit of all right. Oh, sweet. Trump's Brit of all right. Yeah, that's her. But so she speaks vaguely, and I think it's because she doesn't want to admit anything. She doesn't want to acknowledge anything. She doesn't want to whatever. And this is totally me reading into it, right? I don't have any evidence of this. But I, most of her speech, I'll play a little bit more of it so you get the idea. It's all very much we're working and we're going to get through. It's so beautiful to see us all together, and it's just so important, the women who've been hurt, but she doesn't get into any specifics. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I want to thank Congressman Massey and Kana.
Skip ahead of it.
I speak today not only in service of my own recovery from trauma inflicted by Maxwell and Epstein, but to honor the lives, the courage and sacrifices of Virginia Giuffre, Caroline Andriano, and others who could not continue. Their voices mattered.
Yeah. So it's a lot of beautiful thoughts and well put, but she doesn't really get into any specifics. And then there's a part that, if you're familiar with, what I think about her, I think you'll find this interesting. She actually addresses Trump. So knowing knowing my belief here, which is that she has dirt on Trump, that she just hasn't told anyone. This is for her to speak directly to Trump, I think is interesting. So let's hear what she says.
I am no longer weak. I am no longer powerless. And I'm no longer alone.
She also has worked in therapy. She did music therapy for survivors of abuse and trauma, and she ran, I think, 2 different, what do you call them, women's shelters or something like that. I don't know if that's the right term, but 2 different organizations that helped women to escape from abusive situations. So she's another example of somebody in that boat.
And with your vote, neither will the next generation be. President Trump, you have so much influence and power.
She looks right in the camera here. President Trump.
In this situation, please use that influence and power to help us, because we need it now and this country needs it now. Thank you.
It's she knows Trump. She's personal experience with Trump. She went on a few dates with Trump. He bought her a ring, apparently, according to Vicky Ward. Yeah, I don't know. Am I projecting onto that? 100%. 100%. I could be totally wrong. But if all of my other theories are correct, then that was a very significant moment, I thought. All right, now we have Marina Lacerda, 118. Oh, here's Annie Farmer again. She talks as a psychologist, blah, 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 blah. Okay. This part is kind of interesting, but I'm trying to, sorry, I don't want this thing to last all night. Sorry, Annie. Oh, here's Marina Lacerda. I thought Marina Lacerda gave a very good speech here. She was minor victim 1, known as before.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'd like to say thank you, everyone, for being here today on this very powerful and special day for all of us here. My name.
She was. This is the first time that she's come out publicly, although she was involved in the 2019 case against Epstein.
My name is Marina Lacerda. I was minor victim 1 in federal indictment of Jeffrey Epstein in New York in 2019.
Yeah.
I was one of dozens of girls that I personally know who were forced into Jeffrey's mansion on 9 East 71 Street in New York City when we were just kids. Today is the first time that I ever speak publicly about what happened to me. I never thought that I would find myself here. The only reason that I am here is because it feels like the people who matter in this country finally care about what we have to say. As an immigrant from Brazil, I feel empowered knowing that the little girl struggling to get by at 14 and 15 years old finally has a voice. For the first time, I feel like I matter as an American. I was only 14 years old when I met Jeffrey. It was the summer of high school. I was working 3 jobs to try to support my mom and my sister when a friend of mine in the neighborhood told me that I could make $300 to give an older guy a massage.
She's saying she had to keep giving him massages and being abused by him for years. And every time she went, she's like, maybe he'll hire me as his assistant or something, or maybe I'll get like promoted from like masseuse girl to like a real job, and I can actually like make some real money and like have a career or something.
Like we say, the American dream.
Yeah.
That day never came. I had no way out. Until he finally told me that I was too old.
That part really stuck with me. Like, there was no escape until he told me I was too old, and then just kind of like kicked her to the curb or whatever. And then this next part I thought was...
There are many pieces of my story that I can't remember, no matter how hard I try. The constant state of wonder causes me so much fear and so much confusion. My therapist says that my brain is just trying to protect itself. But it's so hard to begin to heal knowing that there are people out there who know more about my abuse than I do. The worst part...
There are people out there who know more about my abuse than I do. I just, like, how powerful is that? Like, release the files so that you can, like, this person can have a piece of their life back, can have, like, an understanding or some closure or some, like, explanation of, like, why, you know, she has been traumatized in this way. I don't know. It's sad, right? But it's powerful, and it's like directly related to what they're asking for. There are people there who know more about my abuse than I do. Moving on. Haley Robson speaks again. I think she is definitely the standout. She's got the juice. Not that everybody doesn't have the juice, but she's just a very good speaker. Oh, there's one really good part.
He gave me an ultimatum. Either you come here and massage me when I call you, or you bring me friends of yours to massage. And I will give you $200 per girl for each time she comes.
This one she's reading off her phone, so she's a little bit less, animated. But I understand, like, I guess it's like, this is like, she's talking about her experience directly. Whereas before she was speaking from the heart and whatever, but she's like, no, I want to get this all right. Like, let me write it down in my notes app and let me read it off my phone here so that I don't leave out any details.
I felt and hoped to never hear from him again, but he called me every day. He was so wealthy and powerful, and he would not let me go. I felt I had no choice. If I disobeyed him, I knew something bad would happen. So knowing I did not want to be sexually abused, I started to bring him other girls from my high school, and he paid me $200 for bringing them.
Like, imagine being like one of these girls who was like not only a victim of Epstein's, but like was kind of, like recruited other girls for him. And imagine like how difficult that would be to process the guilt as well as the like, shame. And I mean, I guess like guilt is already a part of a lot of people who are traumatized in this way, but like, I don't know. I don't have anything useful to say. I just like, I can't imagine going through something like that. But yeah, it's messed up.
I just hoped each time it would be the last time. One day, the stepmom of one of the girls brought him and called the police on Jeffrey Epstein. The police then called me in for questioning.
Okay, this part is crazy. Pay attention to this. This is her story of how the people in authority who are supposed to protect her reacted when she came forward finally, 2009.
I had told them the truth despite the fact that I was a teenager and a minor, and I was able to tell the police the names of all the other victims. The police treated me like a criminal. I had, by this time, had turned 18. I had been with Jeffrey since I was 16 and for 2 years. So they had told me so they told me I was going to be arrested. My name was then distributed to the press as a co-conspirator of my abuser, who I detested. My entire world was crashing in around me, and I started being threatened and bullied, till this day still receiving death threats. I was singled out and for many years had to suffer a smear campaign of lies about me because of the way that I was portrayed by the press. The press made me out to be a predator when I was...
There was a whole thing, if you're familiar with the Alan Dershowitz kind of like defense tactics in the trial, where they would go on these girls' MySpace pages and they would find like whatever pictures of them like with a beer or something or a cigarette, or they would, in their MySpace page, they wrote like, I like to smoke weed or something like that. And they'd be like, look, these women are prostitutes. They're prostitutes. Look at, why would they write that they are 420 hashtag blaze it if they weren't like working in the sex industry? Like, they are prostitutes. Like, that was the defense. And he like slandered these women, lied about them. I believe they even like made fake MySpace pages for them that weren't even real. It was like part of their defense. So she was one of the people involved in that case who got like just the press, the whatever, like everybody just destroyed them. And Epstein was made sure to get shit out in the press because he wanted to continue his life and his social life. And then after the you know, he technically had the label, the legal label of like, what was it? A sex criminal, something like that? Sex crime, whatever, guilty of sex crimes. And he had a line that he told like people he hung out with, like Bill Gates and stuff. He'd be like, it's kind of the difference between like stealing a bagel or killing a man. You know, it's not, I'm not a sex criminal like a sex criminal. I'm like sex criminal like stealing a bagel sort of thing. I had sex with a prostitute. I thought she was legal age. Turned out she was like 17. That's all it was. And like complete lie. But that is like what fucking happened here. And yeah, to the filling station, private investigators following them around all day. Yeah. Crazy.
Just a 16-year-old little girl who was sexually abused by a powerful man and an evil man. For years, I had no friends. My boyfriend was murdered, and there was nowhere to turn. The government, after investigating more, learned that I was true a victim, but the damage was done and it was too late. There was no way to undo the harm the press had caused me. In 2019, I met Brad and Brittany Edwards and Brittany Henderson. They changed my life and they believed in me and have helped me to find...
Yeah, so anyway, she goes on to talk about Brad and Brittany, but I thought that part was very like wild hearing, like from her perspective. She comes forward, she bravely tells a story, and then everyone's just like, you're a liar and you're a prostitute and you're a bad person, and just getting like totally fucked with. Like, and she's saying she still gets death threats to this day. Yo, on one of the Anushka interviews, the one that I always play, I literally don't think that I've actually gone through a stream yet without bringing this up. There's a comment here from Jim M9Q that's like very specific references to her case against Ghislaine Maxwell. She was one of the people who testified against Ghislaine Maxwell. Very specific shit. This is, I think, someone in Ghislaine Maxwell's like family, like one of her brothers, commenting and being like, you're a liar, you're bad, you're evil, you're blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Anyway, so like these women, like they go through fucking so much bullshit just by doing this shit. So like the least that people can do should be like, release the Epstein files, whatever, you know? It's crazy. We were talking about Dershowitz's thing against Virginia. Yes, she did sort of rescind some of what her whatever like things were, because Dershowitz just like was such an asshole, like a truly like the world's worst human, going after her in such a fucking deranged way, making her life miserable, constantly like suing her with his like bottomless whatever pockets, and eventually like to the feeling has it exactly right. Not hard to see why Giuffre would want to see an end of a decade of back and forth lawsuits. They came to an agreement. She said, maybe I confused him with someone else, maybe, I don't know. And then he went out and he was like, I've been fully exonerated. She says I was innocent. And then she came out like the next day and was like, I did not say that. I did not say you were innocent, and I did not say you were exonerated. I said I may have gotten you confused with someone else, you are not exonerated at all. Anyway, Shantae Davies, yes. She was on Flight with Bill Clinton. This is actually the you may have seen the photo of a young girl massaging Bill Clinton at an airport. This is her. This is Shantae Davies.
Hello, my name is Shantae Davies, and I'm here before you today as a
This is one of the only women who actually mentions Trump directly.
A survivor of decades of pain, trauma, and betrayal at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell. Far too woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress, I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience, and when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life, and that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. If I spoke out, who would believe me? Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually. And while what I endured will haunt me forever.
So I found that very interesting and kind of surprising, to be honest, because, yes, he was definitely friends with Donald Trump. Donald Trump was very famous. Donald Trump was like the bad guy in every movie made in the 80s and 90s, basically, every kid's movie. So that would be a name to drop. That would be a brag. Oh, I'm friends with Donald Trump, the famous, evil billionaire, real estate New York guy. But I'm surprised that she would even say that was his biggest brag, because although, now that I'm thinking about it, well, from what I've heard from a lot of the later victims, because I'm thinking about her time in Epstein's circle, that would have been in the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe more the early 2000s. And from what I understand, Epstein's biggest brag was always Bill Clinton. He had the photos up, and Ghislaine herself would constantly be impressing on girls who she thought might go to the authorities. He's friends with Bill Clinton. He's very good friends with Bill Clinton. And Shantae Davies, would have been sort of in the circle, I think. She was literally, she was a stewardess on the flight where Bill Clinton went to Africa. She massaged Bill Clinton. So she was maybe not around for that period. But that's interesting that she's saying this. His biggest brag. And you can tell that wasn't in her remarks. She's going off her prepared remarks. Let me just go back a little bit.
Truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually.
She's learning, and then she looks up and she's like, fuck it, I'm just going to say it. It was his biggest brag. He loved to talk about how he was friends with Donald Trump. And yeah, it seems like she went off book there. And it seems like, I think that they probably weren't going for that. But that's good to know. That's important to know.
And while what I endured will haunt me forever.
Okay, so she's actually the last speaker. And then they do a Q&A. The Q&A is almost worth watching in full. I think this part is where we get a lot more information, where the press will ask questions. Sometimes they ask someone specifically. Sometimes they just throw a question out there and a couple people come up and give their own perspectives. So this is where the Q&A sessions begins. The first question, very good question.
The president has said that this Epstein issue is a hoax, is the words that he used. Can we get your reactions to what you think when you hear him say that?
So I don't know if you guys could hear that super well, but the president has been saying that the Epstein thing is a hoax. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, great question. A lot of them were sort of it's not a hoax. Stop saying it's a hoax. But I don't remember any of them saying Trump, stop calling it a hoax, Trump. But now they're let's talk about that. And who comes up? It's Haley.
Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that matters because this is not political.
However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
What does it feel like emotional?
Which I mean, like, that's a good strategy. Like, she doesn't seem like she seems kind of like passionate and whatever, but she's like, Donald Trump, like, I'm a Republican, like, I'm on your side, like, meet with me so that I can whatever.
Devastating.
What does it feel like emotionally to hear Donald Trump call it a hoax?
Being gutted from the inside out. Not that I would know what that feels like, but I imagine it's the anxiety buildup with the depression and the survival mode, and then your nervous system goes limp and ironically is shot. And it feels like you just want to explode inside because nobody, again, is understanding that this is a real situation. These women are real. We're here in person. To say that it's a hoax is just not, please humanize us. I would like Donald J. Trump and every person in America and around the world to humanize us, to see us for who we are and to hear us for what we have to say. There is no hoax. The abuse was real. Now, what goes on behind closed doors, I can't speak for that. What happens around the world politically, I cannot speak for that. But I am here with all of these women, including our attorneys, and I would be more than happy to meet with him, and I will meet him halfway.
Ms. Edwards, I wonder if any of the victims could respond to the news from recently about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would. She should get a podcast or something. She should have some way of like being able to talk more. I like listening to her talk. Okay, yeah, but yeah, no, that's a good question. It's fucked up. It's incredibly fucked up for Trump to be calling it a hoax. The next question is, what do you guys think about Ghislaine being transferred to minimum security prison? I spent 2 streams recently going over the interview that Ghislaine had. That was the quid pro quo, like, hey, if you exonerate Trump, then we'll move you to a nice place. And she did get moved into a nice place. That was not spoken out right in the interview, but that seems to be very clear subtext. But yeah, you know what? Yeah, like I think I have like a little regret about how I did that stream where I focused on like, I read all of these things, like they really platformed Ghislaine and gave her this crazy amount of room to like tell her side of the story. That's like incredibly fucking bullshit. She blamed everything on Virginia Giuffre. She literally said in this interview that Epstein wasn't a pedophile until Virginia Giuffre, 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre, convinced him to be a pedophile and made him into a pedophile. And then she said she like lied about Prince Andrew and made up this whole thing about Prince Andrew that wasn't even true. And she photoshopped that picture of her with Prince Andrew. Like, the things that she said about Virginia are like unforgivable. Like, unforgivable. Not that Ghislaine was already forgivable before that, but like, just like a horrible person. And Todd Blanche, Trump's assistant DA, whatever it is, just fucking sat back and let her spew her bullshit. It was completely ridiculous. And so I went over the thing, but like, I didn't give like I didn't quote any like survivors talking about Ghislaine and how evil she is. So this is a chance for that to happen, maybe, where the question is about, what do you think about Ghislaine getting transferred?
Ghislaine Maxwell being transferred to a lower security prison in the aftermath.
That one. There you go.
About her transfer to a... Oh, yeah. Sure. I'm happy to speak to that.
Yeah, just to be totally clear, who said Giuffre is to blame for Epstein? Ghislaine. Ghislaine said that Epstein was never a pedophile until Virginia Giuffre convinced him to do that. Like, just like what the fuck? Like, the most intense Darvo I've ever seen.
We were horrified to learn that she had been transferred to a prison camp. She is someone who was found guilty by a jury of sex trafficking. She not only, we often hear that she procured women for Jeffrey, which I think is a very sort of polite and minimizing term. She also participated in the abuse. She was a major architect of the scheme. And the fact that she has painted herself as a victim, I think is disgusting. And it was horrifying, I think, to us that we were not told about her prison transfer. We found out about it in the news.
That's so nuts too. I just like, you can really tell like the whole, like how much love there is for Virginia, right? Among the survivors, and how like much they're like heartbroken with what happened to her. There's like, you know, you can see people wearing her butterfly pin here. The amount of love that these people have for Virginia is because of how brave she was at speaking out. That is how much Ghislaine hates Virginia. And the fact that she would even try to blame Epstein's actions on Virginia, like, is so just obscene. But it's like, that's how evil Ghislaine is. That's how much she hates Virginia. Anyway, this is like basically what it is, DM Collins. I was never a child murderer, but then this 11-year-old came in with a neck that just looks so strangleable. It's him you should be blaming. That pretty much is what she's saying.
1 minute, I think Anushka maybe has something to say.
So, Anushka DeGiorgio, I testified alongside Annie at the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Went over this last week. She was testified under Kate, but now lately she's been more comfortable attaching her own name to it.
I was horrified when I found out not only had Ghislaine Maxwell been transferred to what's called a low security, it's really is like a holiday camp, and then afterwards I got a notification from the Department of Justice telling me that this was going to happen when it had already happened.
You guys hear that? Do you guys hear that in the background there?
Telling me that this was going to happen when it had already happened. This woman abused children. I was abused by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for over 10 years. Ghislaine Maxwell was present for some of my abuse at the hand of Jeffrey Epstein. She was present, she was complicit, she was enabling, and it is appalling and disgusting, and it's one of my worst.
So that, what you're hearing there is a military flyover from, the White House that just so happened to occur right at that particular moment. Epstein accusers interrupted by Trump-ordered White House flyover. Was it a coincidence? I don't know. The White House said the fighter jets were participating in maneuvers to honor a fallen Polish army pilot killed recently in a training exercise and to celebrate the special relationship between our two countries. Occurred shortly before 11:30 a.m. while President Donald Trump was meeting at the White House with newly elected Polish President Karol Nawrocki. It was just a half hour after the scheduled start of the news conference in which Epstein accusers gathered from around the world to tell their stories. Some of them were stepping forward for the first time to ratchet up pressure on Republican leadership in Congress to make public the mammoth trove of previously unreleased Epstein files. When the jets roared overhead, many of the event attendees looked skyward. Some of the women publicly accusing the disgraced late financier of horrific acts shook their head in disbelief. It's difficult to overstate how disrespectful this flyover was, given this press conference was known about by the admin, one of the attendees, Amber Woods. She's a journalist, or I don't know, she has a Twitter account. My heart broke standing next to these brave women, some who were already in tears or shaking. No security provided to them for this conference. I wanted to wrap my arms around them all. Yeah. Anushka DeGiorgio stopped mid-sentence as the jet noise drowned out her voice. She raised her arms skyward and waited several seconds, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, no, I don't know. Was it done on purpose? I don't know. I don't know, but it is weird. Seems strange.
Nightmares that she not only be transferred, but at the possibility that's very much going around that she might be pardoned. This is not okay, guys. This is not okay.
And I just want to add that I think it sends a very dangerous message to our country, to the young people in our country, that someone that we all know is aware of these crimes could be given a pass.
And just for the last survivor who just spoke, the last survivor.
I thought she flipped the plane off. Yeah, maybe.
Who just spoke? She said that Epstein would brag about her relationship with Donald Trump.
So there's the Shantae that he's like, can you say more about that? That Trump was Epstein's biggest brag?
Could she please elaborate about that?
Shantae.
Get to the microphones.
Get close.
I did say that.
Like, what are they doing? They're like circling around or something? Are they like spelling out like, we love Poland? Yes, pierogies. Like they just seem to keep swooping back.
My first trip to the Palm Beach residence, I drove there from the airport with Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. Like, they were very close.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know about the 8x10 framed photo of him on his desk. They had quite a bromance, I suppose. But I don't know. That seems true. That seems true to me. You can tell that was just off the cuff, right? Like, biggest brag, whatever. Oh, you're so right. To the Finland station. Makes sense to brag about Trump in Palm Beach. I mean, like, in New York as well, right? Like, and those are the two places that Epstein spent most of his time. New York and Palm Beach. So... yeah, maybe Palm Beach more because that was more of his crowd there. I think people in New York sort of thought he was a little bit of a boorish rube, you know?
Go ahead.
On this client list that you survivors are...
What?
Excuse me.
One second.
For this client list that you ladies are putting together, you said it would be confidential, but...
Yeah, one Matt Apple, sorry. Nobody's been bringing up that the president is currently flying around the world in the Lululemon Express #2. Is he still doing that? I know that he did fly. He did put the Trump stickers over it during the campaign. He's still doing that shit? Wow, that's crazy. That's nuts. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Man. Oh, MJ. We did talk about that beforehand, but that was Collins. Sorry, not Collins. Speaker Johnson's sort of response to this press conference, I believe. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have named the stream Super Spy, yada yada, but.
Well, could you clarify? Will the public get to see that?
So, Lisa, what's your envision here?
Is it going to go to the public or just amongst the survivors?
No, we're reaching out to survivors that are scared.
So come on up.
We're reaching out to survivors that are scared to come forward, and that also.
Sorry, just to explain, in case you guys couldn't hear, the question is about Phillips' idea that Lisa Phillips saying that the survivors are going to make their own list. They're going to make their own Epstein client list, Epstein sex buyer list.
To know who they were trafficked to. So that's the list that we're compiling. We're not quite sure, how we're going to release that, or even if we're going to, the Department of Justice needs to release the list.
Right. For folks at home, they might be confused. Survivors know the names. You've seen these powerful people. Why can't you say the names?
Why do we have to say the names when the government knows the names? And we're also scared to do so. Look what's happened to so many of the survivors that have revealed names.
Yeah, I find it about the bill.
I think it's also worth saying that having represented, I think, between our firm and Boyce Schiller, hundreds of victims, and we've talked to them about the various people. So we've created somewhat of a list. Most of these individuals, the victims, are very scared to say these names because they could get sued, they're going to get attacked, and nobody protected them the first time. And that was against one person. So is there a list? There is a list, but just to dispel kind of the common theme here, every one of these women was abused by Jeffrey Epstein, and his scheme was to personally abuse women. I
feel like I mean, maybe I'm misreading it, but I feel like the question was sort of like the way she was asking was like, just because some people might not understand, can you explain why you aren't getting the giving the names out? Or maybe I'm being too generous here, but I thought that she was like, just that the folks at home, I mean, I understand that you guys are scared and that it's not fair to ask you to do that, but like, could you explain so that, other people get it? And you can tell it really like upset a lot of these people here and a lot of the women, and Brad Edwards is coming forward and he feels very defensive, protective, I should say, not defensive, but yeah, I mean, would you just give out the names of like all these wealthy men? Would you name Donald Trump on the steps of the Capitol building, like as a whatever, like pedophile rapist? Would you do that? I wouldn't do that. I would be way too scared. And why don't you just give the name? Why do you gotta do it like this? And it's like, so you can tell that's an upsetting question.
They reached a certain age. He did farm a section of them, some of them, out to some.
Diligent escape. Wait, are you talking about? Sorry. Just looking at the chat here. Are you talking about Brad Edwards or are you talking about Johnson, Speaker Johnson? He's there for damage control, keep it pertaining to sex trafficking as opposed to Iran-Contra, drugs, organ trafficking. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. It's so crazy how much crossover there is with Epstein and Iran-Contra. Iran-Contra is like a conspiracy theory that like actually we know about. To the Finland station, I love that you're just calling out TrueAnon episodes by the number. You're like, have you listened to TrueAnon episode 341? As we all know. Yes.
Some of his friends. That doesn't mean all of his friends. With that said, I'm more than happy to assist in helping create.
Oh, the lawyer. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, there is an argument that Brad Edwards, personally, I like Brad Edwards. I think he's good, like generally. I think whatever, his book, it spends a little bit too much time talking about how much he likes football and tennis, but I think overall he's good. But there is an argument that some of the lawyers, including Brad Edwards, who were helping victims get settlements, would choose the settlement as opposed to the like justice, and would kind of like lead the victims of Epstein and these other elites towards getting a settlement because they would get a portion of that settlement. Meaning that like when you settle out of court or whatever, you sign an NDA, you promise that you're never going to make another thing. The world is messed up and the justice system is completely tilted towards people with unlimited funds.
Create the list behind the scenes and see what we do with it.
Oh, I forgot to mention Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh wait, maybe that happens here. But yeah, so it's supposed to be between the victims, and Brad Edwards is like, and let me in on that too. Can you guys let me in your group chat? I'll help. I could help maybe with something. And yeah, anyway.
Go ahead.
Hold on. I think if someone's interested in prosecuting, they may have something different to say.
It's Brittany Henderson, the other lawyer, Brad Edwards' wife.
About sharing a list, but they're not sharing a list for nothing to happen, and that's the experience that they've had for all of these years.
Yeah. So I think it was so important that Haley Robson shared her story of what happened when she came forward before. For her to be like, I came forward, I named names, whatever, I told the truth, I told the FBI, I told the police, whatever, and then my reward was to be like serially harassed by the most powerful men on earth for decades. Like until today, I get death threats. Like, and then for you to be like, well, why don't you just say the names? What's stopping you from saying the names? And it's like, did you not listen to what we just said? Like, shit's fucked.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you all. We're waiting to see the fate of this discharge petition right now as we're here. The speaker and others have said that the people he met with yesterday had concerns about your names being released if this bill were passed. And some
So this is Johnson again, some bullshit being like, well, we can't release the files because the victims' names are on it, and we don't want the victims to know. We don't want to like re-traumatize them. We don't want people to find out about that, so we can't release we just can't. And we could redact it, but I'm all out of my big black Sharpies, out of ink, and it's dry. So sorry, like I don't think we'll ever be able to release them. That old chestnut.
Talk to today are not signing a discharge petition because they say you don't want them to. Can you clarify if that?
Do any of
I like that they're like laughing at that.
the survivors here not want the bill to pass?
Yeah.
First of all, our legislation, Ro Khanna and I went through this. We talked about this, and we were very careful to make sure that there is an exception so that personally identifiable information, not just their names, but anything they could be identified by, would not be disclosed.
And can you speak to that as survivors yourself?
I think all of them are on the same page. That they want everything released. Yes, they unequivocally redact personally identifying information and release everything else.
This is such a stupid argument. The whole like, well, the victim's name. Okay, then redact it. Like redact the name then. Who cares? Redact the victims' names. Everything else, keep it on there.
Mr. Edwards.
Okay.
Mr. Edwards, thank you. I know it's your first time speaking.
Uh-oh.
I'll go to Marina if we can.
Yeah, sure.
Marina, you have stayed silent for so many years. Today, this is the first time, if we understand correctly, you have never before gone public with your story and to share this. Can you help us understand why today?
Yeah, Ro Khanna is like one of the main two like sponsors on the bill. It's Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, the libertarian Republican guy. And then all the Democrats are behind it. And then 4 Republicans, including Thomas Massie. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's also there, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. That's it. That's all the Republicans. But it's pretty. I mean, pretty cool that I don't know. I'll stop saying this, but it's cool that Epstein is like such a bipartisan issue. It's really like, what other bill would Ro Khanna and Marjorie Taylor Greene be doing a press conference together for?
Why now and why here?
Well, it is not okay for us to be silenced, and it's not okay
so the question was, why have you decided to go, Marina Lacerda? Why have you decided to go on the record for the first time and say publicly that you were a victim of Epstein?
Jeffrey Epstein and everybody else to be put on a pedestal. I think everybody needs to hear from us because we know what went on, right? And there is not only me who's been silenced, there are hundreds of women that are silenced. My hope is to stop this abuse for the future, right? For people that are coming up, for women. My daughter, for example, these women have daughters. They most definitely don't want that anymore. And I think mainly this is therapy for all of us too. You know, we want to be heard. Nobody also has never asked me to speak. That's also another thing. So I can say for all of us here, we are here. We want this bill to pass. It is very important. Okay, and we need transparency. We are tired of looking at the news and seeing Jeffrey Epstein's name and saying that this is a hoax. We are tired of it. We are done. We're not going to be silenced, and I hope that my voice will bring other survivors and other victims to come along and speak up so that we can be more of a stronger voice and louder.
This is interesting. So she's, because you notice she said, like, she brought it up too, the whole hoax thing. She's like, it's not a hoax. It's fucked up that you're saying it's a hoax. But she doesn't mention Donald Trump's name. But he's the guy who's saying that. Anyway. And so then the question is, well, what would you say to Donald Trump about this? And that is really, like, that's really putting her on the spot here, right? Like, this is the first day, like, as a public as a Epstein victim.
And I don't want to send a direct message to him. I'm already scared enough. Yeah, just pass the vote, listen to us. This is not a hoax. Like, it's not going to go away. And like I said on my speech earlier, we're not going to be silenced anymore. We will be speaking moving forward wherever we need to.
Like that, like the way that she doesn't speak directly to Trump, I feel like says a lot, right? She's like, I don't want to speak directly to Trump. I'm already scared enough. It's crazy. There's a lot of, like, I know I'm doing like the body language expert thing here. I'm like, you can tell from this, oh, this is what they really mean. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not a professional, and I could very easily be misinterpreting all of this.
We will be, and we need to pass this.
But doesn't it seem like she says she's scared of Trump. She did say that, basically.
Thank you, sir. Jordan Conrad's from Gateway Pundit. For years we've heard that there's an
Gateway Pundit.
Now we hear from DOJ that there's no list. Question for all the victims. What do you guys think? I know you're working on your own list, but do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein had a list?
Yeah. So there's not a list. Yeah. So here's what it was. Just like you heard everybody today, Jeffrey Epstein created through an organization of enablers, of people that were on his payroll. It was a complicated scheme where others should still be investigated because they helped to enable him.
You can tell he's sick of answering this question about the Epstein list. But yeah, that's a Gateway Pundit question. A kind of, right-wing, like basically like political rag, like tabloid thing.
And operate this scheme. Without those people, he could not have done this. But the purpose was for him to personally abuse people. With that being said, certain of his friends, he farmed out certain of the women that he was exploiting too. But that wasn't the primary purpose of that scheme. And I don't think he wrote the name.
I don't like the phrase farmed out, but I guess there's no easy way to say sex trafficked. But this is always been Brad Edwards', like, his sort of explanation of Epstein is that, Epstein would date underage girls, and he would date them for years. He would, like, some of them he wouldn't date. He would just, like, abuse them or whatever. But some of them he would, like, date and whatever, like, would be his, like, almost his girlfriend as they got older, like 18, 19, 20. And then when they reached a certain age where he was no longer interested in them, and Epstein used to say this is actually something Epstein used to say, where he's like, my girlfriends become my friends, and it's actually an upgrade. Like, actually upgrade them from girlfriends to friend, and I'm even closer to them then. He's had some fucking weird thing he used to say like that. And then, so Brad Edwards' thing is, once they get old enough, then he would farm them out to his friends, and he'd give them out to his friends, which is, I believe, exactly what happened with Anushka DeGiorgio and Donald Trump, this person over here, as well as his next girlfriend after Anushka, Chelina Middlefart, and possibly even Melania Trump. But in any case, Brad Edwards' thing is like, he would do that, but when they got a certain age, he would, like, farm them out, blah, 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 blah.
Names of those people down. There's not a list.
And I don't think he'd write the names of those people down. There's no client list. There's no whatever. Basically, this is what I think with the client list. It's a meme.
Of, hey, here's all of the people that I sent females to. That's just not how that organization worked.
Mr. Edwards,
agreed?
Is there any evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with or tied to the CIA or a foreign intelligence operation?
I think that the safest thing for me to say is all files should come out, whether it is for this.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I love that journalists are now asking the right questions, eh? People are really, people are like getting on the client list, but they're also asking about connections to intelligence, or they're asking about all kinds of shit. It's like, yes, good, thank you, finally.
With the CIA, FinCEN, SEC, FBI. I'm not just making these up haphazardly. I'm giving you a roadmap where to look. Go ahead.
Sorry, what did he say there? Oh, all files should come out, whether it's CIA.
The safest thing for me to say is all files should come out, whether it is for this with the CIA, FinCEN, SEC, FBI. I'm not just making these up haphazardly. I'm giving you a roadmap where to look. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't know that about Whitney Webb. Her father's a billionaire real estate investor. That's interesting. I think her work is good. I have still not managed to slog my way through the entire One Nation Under Blackmail book or 2 books, but I'll say like what I like about her is that she's not afraid to jump to conclusions. And something that's frustrating in a lot of Epstein shit is people are like, well, here's all the evidence, but what does it mean? Like, there's no proof of that it means anything. And so I don't really want to even say what it could mean. And like, I think people should be able to be like, here's what I think it could mean. And Webb is completely not afraid of that at all. She's like, well, look at this and this, and look at this and this. And that means that these things are this. And because we now know that this is definitely true, let's jump to another conclusion. And she gets to this whole other thing, and that I'm sure is like not totally accurate. But I'm like, it does make sense though. It does kind of, it all sort of holds together in a way. So I think she's usually onto something, you know? She's usually onto some kind of a thing. Yeah, Rod Weber. Yeah, I mean, MTG will go to the House floor and just read Democrats' names. I mean, like that was one of the things where she said because the Epstein victims were afraid they're going to make their own client list. She was like, I'll read it. Give me the list of names. I'll read it. But I mean, like if she did do that, like I'm not saying that she wouldn't do that. That sounds exactly like something she would do. But like, do you think she would if they wrote Donald Trump's name on that list? Do you think she would read it? Like, I mean, how? Like, it's pretty. Like, she's not exactly ride or die for Trump. Just the fact that she's here at this thing, like she's speaking. She said she'll read the name of the Epstein client list, sex buyer list. Like it's just interesting. Like, I don't know how far she goes with it, but yeah, I don't know. And again, as I often say, I think it is probably politician-wise, mostly Democrats. It's the donors that might get into some Republicans, but politician-wise, I think it'll mostly be Democrats from like the 90s, but I don't know. So hell yeah, Office Space, one of my favorite movies of all time. Top 10, easy.
I'll go first and then I'll let them. They're much more important than me.
Wait, sorry, what was the question?
Hostile act.
Oh yeah.
I'll go first.
I think it was hard to hear that, but I think the question was, the White House has said that, like, meaning like Trump has put the word out to, you know, people who might vote for this act, that if you vote for the Epstein Files Transparency Act, that is a hostile move. You are setting yourself against the president. You are an enemy of the president, which is why almost no Republicans have signed on to this thing except for those 4. So I think the question is about that.
First, and then I'll let them. They're much more important than me, but I don't understand why it's a hostile act. I can tell you that I talked to President Clinton. I'm sorry, President.
This is crazy. Okay, yeah, let's watch this.
Trump back in 2009, and several times after that, he didn't think that it was a hoax then. In fact, he helped me. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation. Now, our investigation wasn't looking into him, but
and he's always been consistent on that. That's one thing that like Trump people who are into Epstein will bring up all the time. Trump was the only guy who Brad Edwards subpoenaed, and his whole list from like the names that Alfredo Rodriguez had circled in Epstein's black book, saying like these people either witnessed child sex abuse or did it themselves. So call these people. He subpoenaed all these guys, David Copperfield, whatever, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jean-Luc Brunel, like all these guys. And the only one that actually got back to him was Donald Trump. And Donald Trump not only got back to him, he offered to come in. He like spoke to him multiple times. He gave him information about Epstein that was useful and that turned out to be true. Trump is a huge gossip, so it makes sense. Yeah. And let's keep in mind, he does not like Epstein. Like at that point, whether it was whatever the reason, he was not a fan of Epstein's. So it's funny though, like, but it's like, because Brad Edwards, like, God, I mean, I don't know what the rules are on releasing that sort of shit, attorney-client privilege or something, but like Edwards has like recordings of Trump talking about Epstein from like 2009. And he's saying, he's like, I don't get it. Like, I talked to Trump about this, and he very much was not saying it was a fucking hoax back then. So I don't know what changed. It's like, you don't.
But he was told me
you not know what
things
changed?
that were helping our investigation. Now, our investigation wasn't looking into him, but he was helping us then. He didn't treat this as a hoax. So at this point in time, I would hope that he would revert back to what he was saying to get elected, which is, I want transparency. This about face that occurred, none of us understand it. In fact, I don't understand how this is an issue that's even up for debate. How do you not stand behind these women after you've heard their stories and know that hundreds of them were abused, and it was only because files are being kept in secrecy? The world should know who he is, who protected him, and the other people that are out there to be investigated need to be investigated. Good.
Yeah, I feel like this is the way he's talking about Trump here is also part of the strategic move that I'm kind of picking up on here, where they're like, we're not against Trump. This is not political. Like, we like Trump. You know, some of us are Republicans. It's actually not political. It has nothing to do with politics. It's just doing the right thing, and Trump should do it because he always does the right thing, and we like Trump, and blah blah blah. Like, I think that this kind of the way he answered that question is very. It fits in with that sort of strategy as well. So hopefully it works. I don't think it will, but hopefully I think it's smart.
Are there any people who are currently serving in government who are named, who you know of, are in these files, who you had relations with, anything of that sort, who Jeffrey Epstein connected you with? Are you willing to say yes or no?
I don't think I can answer that. Sorry.
Okay, this fucking part. You ready? You ready for a jump scare here?
Have they been threatened us? They're saying they're being scared to talk. I think she's referring to my speech.
Hi, Anushka DeGiorgio. I have been threatened.
Sorry. No, that's not the part I'm thinking of. But I'm not sure what the question was. It was very hard to hear. Something about, have you been threatened? Like, what? Can you talk more about being threatened by Epstein and Maxwell? I think that was something to do with the question.
I was threatened by phone. My daughter was threatened when I was volunteering to participate by means of being a witness in a civil lawsuit that Virginia Giuffre was bringing against Ghislaine Maxwell. I have been followed. I have been stalked. I have been followed not only by journalists, but by people who do not get out of the car and do not try and talk to me and just drive behind me as I drive my daughter to school. So the fear is very real for us. I have also been in multiple situations with both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, where they have been direct and indirect about implying and saying that if I was to talk, if I was to bring any kind of trouble, then there would be severe consequence, including death.
And just to add to that, Maxwell also threatened my sister Maria Farmer. When the FBI did nothing about her initial report, she reported individually at that time, and then in 2002 we spoke to a reporter at Vanity Fair telling our stories, fearful that perhaps other people were being harmed. We believed that was going to make a difference. We believed that would be put in print, and that story was crushed, and it was because of their power. And the message that we got from that was direct threats from Maxwell to my sister about her well-being and her safety and that of our family. So I think many people have similar stories of threats. That has been a very real part of this case.
Go ahead, over here.
Nope.
Do you want to address that?
I just want to say one thing that's very clear. When people say, please share names, there are names that are very well known, like that of Les Wexner, who everyone knows supplied an enormous amount of Epstein's financial wealth and allowed this operation to happen. So it's, I think, confusing to many of us why there have not been more ramifications for him, and he's been seen as a victim when clearly I believe there's more to it.
Right here, please.
But, yep.
Yeah, so you represented Virginia Roberts. She eventually had to recant the allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that.
Okay, so this is the fucking most infuriating part. And yeah, you called it exactly right, Finland Station. That is who is in the crowd right now. Michael Tracy,
of us, why there have not been more ramifications for him, and he's been seen as clear.
This part.
So you represented Virginia Roberts. She eventually had you.
You can hear, I don't know if you guys can hear like the whispering around there. There's some whispering happening in the crowd here. They get picked up on the mics. You can sort of hear it. I can almost hear it, but like as soon as he starts talking, you hear somebody go, "That's that asshole that something," like, yeah, something like that. Listen.
Yeah, so you represented Virginia Roberts. She eventually had.
That's the asshole. Did you hear that? Anyway, it's Michael Tracy. So, okay, what's his question?
To recant the allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that.
We're not talking. All right, next question.
So also there's this woman here. I'm not sure who that is. She comes up to Brittany Henderson and whispers in her ear, and you can hear her say.
She eventually had to recant the allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that.
I can't hear everything, but she goes, "That's the fucking journalist who's something." Let's hear it one more time.
To recant the allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that.
Can't hear it. But she tells her, and then everybody's just like, "Oh, okay." So Michael Tracy is a fucking guy you've probably dunked on Twitter before. He works for fucking Alan Dershowitz, I believe, in this specific case. Here's his blog from just the other day. The Epstein humiliation. The past few days, I've been somewhat unexpectedly deluged with requests to discuss the Epstein files debacle. Wait, is this? Oh yeah, this is from a few months ago. Talking about, oh jeez. This is from, I guess, when there are many things I've long found maddening about the prevailing conception of the Epstein issue, especially on social media. It's considered vicious and offensive to simply observe that the original and most high-profile accuser, Virginia Giuffre, was an admitted serial fabricator. Excuse me? What the fuck are you talking about, dude? This is exactly fucking the way Dershowitz talks. The worst you can say about Virginia Giuffre is, she talked a lot about this shit she was not listened to for a long time. Her depositions, she got some dates wrong. She didn't remember exactly how old she was when certain things happened. She didn't remember the precise details of when she met this person or who she met here and whatever. Do you remember everything that happened when you were fucking 17 years old? Do you remember everyone that you met? Do you remember every place you visited? Could you name every time you got on a plane? Fuck off with this shit. An admitted serial fabricator? Go fuck yourself. So this guy's a fucking piece of shit. Even though it was always Giuffre wild, sensational claims that formed the evidentiary basis for what people now profess to believe with such strident conviction that Epstein orchestrated a massive child sex trafficking and blackmail operation, implicating untold scores of powerful individuals in illicit sexual encounters, and now the horrifying truth continues to be covered up by the Trump administration. So basically, this guy believes that Epstein did nothing wrong and it's a total misunderstanding, and actually we should stop being so mean about it and whatever. Yeah, very, very infuriating shit. But yeah, so that's him. That's Michael Tracy asking this question in the audience. Hey, why did she lie about Alan Dershowitz?
The allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that.
We're not talking.
Everybody's like, fuck
All right,
off.
next question. Thank you.
Who's next?
Why is it that she should?
Yeah, no, we're not
Still keeps talking.
answering your question. Anybody else?
Go ahead.
How did the
He
victim
still keeps asking. It still keeps yelling at. Is that not a fair question?
feel about the interview that was given to Ghislaine Maxwell?
There's a woman
by
trying to
Todd
say
Glenn?
something.
That's better. Okay, ma'am, I think that you had a question.
When you talked in the past
Oh my God.
So annoying. This guy keeps talking over everyone.
about the existence of the Epstein birthday book,
That's
have you
amazing.
yourself in the course of litigation seen it?
I don't know that we're able to reveal what we've seen and what we have not seen by way of.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't even paying attention to that question, but it's about the birthday book. We all know about the birthday book by now. This is the Epstein's 50th birthday or something. He got a book, and every page was a different letter from one of his friends. And there's the famous one, Donald Trump, that we haven't seen yet, but apparently exists somewhere, where it's he drew a picture of a naked woman and wrote this weird fucking screenplay of him and Epstein talking and be like, oh, what is it? May every day be another wonderful secret. between you and I. Oh, I know the secret to happiness, but I won't tell. Do you know it, Epstein? Yes, I do, Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, I know the exact same thing. Yes, we know how to be good, and like that whole thing. So that's what they're asking about, the birthday book. And it was supposedly part of a discovery during one of the trials. I don't know exactly which one. And they're like, have you seen it? And he's like, oh, I'm not allowed to say whether we've seen it, but...
Protective order, but my point being in that circumstance was, if anybody wants answers, there's an easy place to get it. I told you where to get it. I said, the estate of Jeffrey Epstein has it, serve a subpoena on them, they'll turn it over. And if we had served a subpoena on them in the past, they would have turned it over and we would have seen it, which I don't usually miss subpoenas like that. So there we go.
So yeah, and that's actually also, funnily enough, that's what Ro Khanna's been saying. He's been saying that we need to subpoena the Epstein estate because they have it and they've said that they'll cooperate if they are subpoenaed, and they have to. So, yeah, I don't know who's waiting on who. Why hasn't somebody done this? I don't know.
Go ahead.
Just say one thing on that.
Yeah, that was it, Mark. A friend is a wonderful thing, and may every day be another wonderful secret.
To your question about the allegations, there's a simple answer. Release the files. Let the American public decide. Instead of harassing, I gave you your say. Look.
You're hired by
this fucking guy keeps going in, and somebody yells, what is it?
Look.
You're hired by Dershowitz.
You're hired by Dershowitz. I like that they're all kind of laughing at him because he is just a pathetic man. He's just like a fucking disgrace of a human being. So that now the camera actually pans over to be like, let me get a fucking look at this asshole. There he is. There's Michael Tracy. What a fucking dickhole, man. What a whistling dickhole. Just like this moment, like all these fucking people out here, like inspired by Virginia Giuffre, trying to get to the truth, trying to get these files released. And this guy comes out here to do fucking Alan Dershowitz's dirty work. Go fuck yourself, dude. You are such a dickhole. Cannot believe it.
You've been heard.
I forgot about that part of the Trump birthday letter. Enigmas never age. What the fuck? What the hell does he even mean there? Can we get a better pick? You mean of Michael Tracy? Well, you know Michael Tracy, right? Michael Tracy. Oh. Well, this is him back when he was on Young Turks. Young Turks. Not a great track record with a lot of Young Turks people, eh? Here he is on Tucker Carlson. Anyway, and there's like a bunch of other people named Michael Tracy, I guess. But yeah, no, it's Michael Tracy. Michael Tracy Dershowitz. I don't know. I don't see anything here with him. He definitely, like, his arguments are Dershowitz's arguments. So either he's just been convinced by Dershowitz or he's on the fucking payroll. Either he read Dershowitz's like deranged like defenses of himself and was like, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I believe him. I think it's just a coincidence that he is also like an evil person. But I believe his arguments. I think it's just, bad optics that he also harasses all the people he sues. But yeah. Yeah, there is one of Cernovich with Dershowitz, yeah. And Cernovich did help Dershowitz to, harass Virginia Giuffre. And what's the other guy? Charles C. Johnson, if you know him. Remember him from back in the day? He was on Trump campaign team and worked like, he's very close to Peter Thiel. He's very whatever. I have a lot of theories about Charles C. Johnson. But anyway, I'll leave those aside for now. But he also worked for Dershowitz at one point, was his assistant when he was like young. He was like 19. And he specifically helped him attack Virginia Giuffre as well. Yeah. There's no end to these fucking goons.
You've been heard, and even Alan Dershowitz says to release the files. Release the files. That is the answer, and that's what we're here for. And that is the. Yeah.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the?
Oh my God! Throw that guy out. Yeah, he's getting thrown out. He's getting thrown out. Security got him. That's why you can see Virginia Giuffre's brother in the background. Let me just zoom in. So like up until now, he's been like slandering the recently deceased Virginia Giuffre. Here's her brother over here, Sam Roberts, and Just watch his reaction as Michael Tracy gets thrown out.
Sorry.
Bye.
1 second.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what? I saw the hand go up and I thought it was him, but it's like the guy behind him. Anyway.
Gave you help in 2009. Can you elaborate on your interactions with Donald Trump back in 2009? And for any of the victims,
This is a question of Brad Edwards about how did Trump help you in 2009?
they didn't ever see the president, well then not president yet, but they never ever see Trump with Epstein in any way.
I don't know who's. I don't think that we can answer that question. Did anybody see Trump with Epstein back then? This is really not a political thing. We want the passage of the bill, and this is not to call out President Trump.
This is not to call out President Trump again.
My point was that he was friendly back then, did not think that it was a hoax, and was trying to help. And now it seems like all of a sudden somebody's in his ear and he's not. So I'm hoping.
Very smart too to be like. I mean, again, I'm totally assuming this is what he's doing, but I think it's kind of clear, right? He's like. Someone's in his ear, like he's getting bad advice. Someone must have told him to say it was a hoax. When in reality, it's like, no one in Trump's cabinet is that stupid. And there's a lot of idiots in there, except for Trump. You think someone told Trump to say it's a hoax? That's just Trump's move. It's exactly what he calls Russiagate, the Russia hoax. Like, this is what he does. He's deny. He will never admit to anything. He'll deny no matter what he said in the past. The guy lies like he breathes. It's like so clear. But anyway.
He'll come back to where he was back in 2009, be on the side of the victims and stand with us.
On the passage of the bill.
Go ahead.
Todd Blanche.
Do you want to answer?
So this is about I couldn't quite hear the question, but it's about the interview. Todd Blanche. Maybe something more specifically about Todd Blanche, but Edward seems to be like, I think we already got this question.
Teresa.
Yeah, that's right. Rod Weber, exactly right. The Roy Cohn playbook. What was it from, what was fucking Roy Cohn's 3 rules from that movie, The Apprentice, that both Roger Stone and Donald Trump stole? Yeah, 3 rules. Attack, admit nothing and deny everything, always claim victory and never admit defeat. And then, so those are Roy Cohn's rules. Roy Cohn was, I don't know, how should I describe Roy Cohn as? Should I describe him in the Whitney Webb way or in a, whatever, less jumping to conclusions way? But he was, at the very least, he was a lawyer who was just, had a black fucking heart, he was a lawyer for the mob. He took Donald Trump under his wing and Roger Stone under his wing when they were young and taught them like his ways. He saw great potential in both of them. And what's Roger Stone's rules? Stone's rules. So Roger Stone had a book. Oh, geez. I just want to see the list of the rules. What are they? Is there maybe a picture? What's this? So listen to this. These are Roger Stone's rules. Attack, never defend. To win, you must do everything. Anyway, I don't know. He has an entire book literally called Stone's Rules, but he's always going, this is a Stone's rule. This is Stone's rule. I'm doing a Trump voice for him, but he's going on about this Stone shit. And he takes those rules for himself. He's like, these are actually my rules that I thought of. And then Donald Trump has done the same thing. Art of the Deal, I think. Winning negotiation tactics from Donald Trump. 10 rules from the Art of the Deal. I don't know. Deal-making rules. Where is it? Sorry, guys. I swear this will be interesting. But no way does he say this stuff. Use your leverage strategically without appearing desperate. No way does he say this stuff. This is like some other fucking website adding shit. Art of the Deal, Donald Trump. Get out of here. No, I don't want free summaries. Greatest secrets to success. Jeez. Trust your instincts. Wow, what is it? Did AI write this? What the fuck? It's so long. Okay, I don't care. What even was this thing I got? What? I didn't want to read that. Okay, who cares? You know what? It don't matter. But Trump also recycles the Roy Cohn's rules. But that is exactly what Trump always does. If you want to understand Trump, that's it. Attack, deny everything, admit nothing. And what's the other thing? I always forget this last one. What was it? Never admit defeat. Always claim victory. Never admit defeat. Like that's what he did with the election. You know, always claim victory. Never admit defeat. Deny everything. Admit nothing. Attack. That is Trump. That's like the fucking. If Trump is like a golem, that's what's the words that are written in his head. Like that's all he does. That's how he reacts to everything. So, yeah, of course he called the Epstein a hoax. Deny everything. Admit nothing. Attack, attack, attack. Never admit defeat, always claim victory.
Step up.
I would Teresa J. Home. Happy to speak on that because what I will say is she got this airtime and platform. Her voice was elevated way before our voices were elevated here today.
And sorry, just to remind everyone what this is about. This is about Ghislaine Maxwell. And it's like, I think it's fucked up that like her voice was elevated and Todd Blanche posted it on his Twitter, put it on the DOJ website, like this fucking like 4-hour podcast interview with Ghislaine Maxwell.
And that same calm, manipulative voice that she had so polite there that day with Todd Blanche was the same polite, coercive, manipulative voice that I heard as she was grooming me to then send me off to the home of Jeffrey Epstein where he would assault me. So that's what she was doing for hours, speaking with me, building relationship with me, building trust with me, allowing me to believe that I was going to get this job, a dream job that I had been recruited from my college, flown across the country from Los Angeles to New York City to interview, so I thought. So her voice that day was the same voice that sent me off to a monster. So nothing can be believed from what she says because she's been charged with perjury. I myself could sit there and listen, and as I did, I sat there and listened to this woman's voice lie. And there was no pushback from Todd Blanche because does he even have the facts to be able to push back on her?
That's exactly my fucking thing with him. He's like, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, he doesn't know anything about this. And also he is like clearly just trying to protect Trump.
We could sit there and push back. Why didn't we get to attend that? Why weren't we there that day? Or why wasn't even one of us consulted prior to that day in that meeting? And why on earth has she been moved from Florida to her, it basically is prison spa. I mean, let's be real. None of us were consulted. I found out just like everyone here found out through the media, through all of you. We found out about Ghislaine's transfer. So I'm very angry to sit there and listen. The feelings that come up listening to this woman's voice is repulsive. Yes, I would say it's triggering. We all work very hard on healing, and it still gets to us after 2 decades. That's a very long answer, but it's repulsive to sit there and listen to her voice in her interview.
Can we take two more questions? One over here.
Reporting in Wendy Barrett directly led to a $100 million payment from J.P. Morgan to the Virgin Islands. Will you go after the FBI because they're sitting on evidence? I've held the.
I think that there's nobody that's immune from us going after them if there's a legitimate action to take. So to the extent that evidence exists, then show it to us and we'll help in every way we can. We stand with the victims. Okay, one more.
Can the survivors speak to, speaking of being threatened and being afraid to come forward with the story, to the case of Katie Johnson, who alleged that Donald Trump and Jeffrey...
This is an interesting part too. So she's bringing up Katie Johnson, who was what was she? Well, she was someone who claimed, and Katie Johnson's not her real name, it's a pseudonym. She claims to have been like raped by Donald Trump at several parties thrown by Jeffrey Epstein. She had very specific, allegations. They're like horrifying to read. Like it is maybe the most disturbing thing you can read in this entire case. And she originally made these allegations, I think, in 2016, or was it 2015? I think 2016. Got dropped them. And then Rachel Bloom, what was her name? Lisa Bloom? Lisa Bloom. Gloria Allred's daughter. She campaigned to become her lawyer. She became her lawyer. They were supposed to have a press conference on November 2nd, if I'm not mistaken, 2016. So just like a few days before the election. Maybe it was November 4th. I don't remember. But just like right before the election, right? They're supposed to have a press conference. And the day of that press conference, Katie Johnson, whoever this was, dropped the case. Now, at the time, like Hillary Clinton had a campaign strategy against Trump where she was just going to steamroll him with all of his sexual assault allegations. After, like, from the day the Hollywood Access tape came out, if you look at the timeline, almost literally every single day, another woman would come out and accuse Trump of sexual assault or sexual harassment of some kind. Not just assault, but like, you know, some form of sexual harassment at the very least. And it was working. It was really not looking good for Trump. And like his numbers were not looking good. At least it seemed that way. And Katie Johnson was like, it almost seemed set up like, oh, right near the election, that'll be perfect. Except the Clinton campaign did not boost Katie Johnson's story at all. They were not interested in that one. Probably because of the Epstein connection, right? Like Hillary Clinton didn't want to fucking touch that because her husband is also an Epstein guy. That's Bill Clinton, if you didn't know. Yeah, Hillary Clinton's Bill Clinton's wife. Crazy, small world. But what a coincidence that they both ran for president. Man, that's nuts. But Katie Johnson, I mean, there are some aspects of her case that are suspicious. Some aspects of it they seem a little odd. Some of it, though, I think has been, like, seemed crazy at the time, but has been, since 2016, has been very corroborated by other stories of victims of Epstein's. I remember the time being like, Epstein didn't have orgies. No, Epstein had orgies. That was a thing that happened. Like, there are certain things in the thing that seemed discredited at the time, but then later on, it was, not the case. But there was, I remember, like, the liberal media reporting on it. They were like 28 women have accused Trump of this. One of them is apparently she was like 12 years old or 14, I think, years old. And that one is kind of crazy and it's probably not true. Like pretty much everyone was reporting on it like that. And it seemed like very much like, don't get into this one. This one is going to have backlash on us. And so anyway, on the day that the press conference was supposed to happen, Katie Johnson canceled. She dropped the case, and she was getting death threats, and there's a bunch of weird things with the case. So somebody asked a question about Katie Johnson. Personally, I don't know if you can pick up on this. I tend to think Katie Johnson is telling the truth. She also had a witness. There's somebody else who was testifying with her. Like I think people have really underestimated this case. That's my personal belief. But I'll do a stream about that soon, breaking down that entire thing. But this is a question about Katie Johnson. And check out the response from like everyone on the stage here.
Can the survivors speak to, speaking of being threatened and being afraid to come forward with the story, to the case of Katie Johnson who alleged that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't think we can talk about. I don't think we can talk about that case.
Everybody goes, oh no, and you can see Anushka, in particular, looked at Brad Edwards and starts shaking her head quickly.
Who alleged that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't think we can talk about. I don't think we can talk about that case. I do think it's worth saying though.
So I mean, like, I don't know. I find that interesting. I mean, I wonder if that's because of the whole they're trying to appeal to Donald Trump. They don't want to get any. It was 13. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so she was 13 in her allegation. I knew it was young, like younger than the average Epstein victim for sure. I wonder at this response, like, and she's bringing it up because some of them have been talking about getting death threats and being attacked and stuff. And Katie Johnson specifically said that the reason she was backing down was because she was getting death threats. And like, I guess, I mean, my best guess as to what, because that's an interesting reaction. I'm not quite sure what it means. My best guess is, and I don't know, let me know what you guys think. My best guess though, is that the whole strategy they're going for here, like, this is like, they're not virtue signaling here. They're not trying to be the most correct, right? They're trying to win. Like they want the files to be released. And they understand that in order to release the files, they need to sort of like walk on eggshells a little bit as far as Trump goes. They don't want to upset Trump. And Katie Johnson, that case is directly related to Trump. I mean, actually Diligent Escape, the opposite. It was dropped November 4th or 2nd, one of those 2 days. I think I'm going to say 4th. I don't know. It was dropped early in November 2016, like just days before the election. It was also dropped. It had been dropped, or maybe this is what you're talking about. It had been dropped earlier than that. Oh, did I miss that? That was, so wait a minute. Wait. Okay. Let me see. Because if that lines up, that would be crazy. Katie Johnson. So Snopes. I don't think there isn't even a full Wikipedia page about Katie Johnson, which I find crazy. This is just on all of his sexual misconduct allegations. So in April 2016, okay. An anonymous woman using the pseudonym Katie Johnson filed in suit. So this is when she originally filed, April 2016, and the case was dismissed the following month. Okay, so May 2016. A second version of the lawsuit was filed in New York in June by the same woman as Jane Doe. November, the lawsuit was refiled in September. And on November 2nd, okay, there you go. November 2nd, Doe was scheduled to appear at a press conference at the office of Lisa Bloom before abruptly canceling. Bloom said that Jane Doe had received multiple threats. Yes, very, very fucked up shit. Yeah, I have a lot more to say about this. But yeah, no. Well, when did Trump announce his campaign? Was it in 2015, right? When he came down the escalator campaign, the escalator speech. Mexico's not sending their best. That one. They're bringing crime. They're bringing rapists. And some of them I assume are good people. 2016, presidential announcement. When was this? June 2016. So, yeah. So it was filed the original one was filed in April, I think, 2016? April 2016, yeah. It was originally filed in April. So then the next month it was dismissed in court. And then the next month after that is when Trump announced, which is when the second version was originally filed. I don't know why it had to be refiled in September. I don't exactly know what happened. Did it time out or something? I'm a little bit confused. But yeah, no. There is some interesting timing here, I will say. I have a theory that Pizzagate, well, I won't spoil it all here, but I believe that Pizzagate, which came up around the time that this press conference was supposed to occur, had to do with the Trump campaign's fear of what the Katie Johnson press conference would be. So they decided to invent a way to attack Hillary Clinton about Epstein without involving Trump or in fact making Trump into a hero. But that's what my next video is about, and it'll hopefully be this month, so we'll get to that.
Despite the comments that he made, Virginia Roberts Giuffre is an American hero. Yeah. She is somebody without whom we would not be able to have this voice. She was the one who had courage to...
We would know nothing about Epstein.
Name names, speak out against people, and she was standing up against everybody at one time with an enormous amount of pressure.
And most of these women are here because of Virginia Roberts.
All right, last one.
Clearly not us.
I don't think that anybody knows, but I can tell you that in the Oversight Committee meeting yesterday, they indicated that they were all for transparency, releasing the files, and asked us to hold them accountable. Isn't that right? Yes. They said hold them accountable. So
Sorry, the Pizzagate thing was because of another girl? I mean, Pizzagate was like, there were no victims of Pizzagate. Like, no victims were like named, really. It was like a completely, speculative theory that didn't have victims, at least not named victims. Like, even if Pizzagate's true, let's just assume Pizzagate's true, no one knew any names of girls who were, in the basement of Comet Ping Pong.
We intend to hold them accountable.
That's up to them.
We're going to show them where to go with it, and as long as they're doing their job, they should. I'm going to turn it back over to...
The question was, will you go after the men who are named in the files? And he's like, I mean, we're going to reveal that they're in the files, and then it's up to them to go after it, and hopefully they will.
Ro Khanna, thank you.
Let me just say this. Let me say this. I think the people back who are testifying here today or speaking out today, they are American heroes. Let's give them another round of applause. And you say, look, Thomas, Marjorie, and I, we're huge believers in the First Amendment, and we believe in free speech, and we take abuse all the time. But you see, you see why it's so hard to do what they have done.
This is the rest of it is just the politicians coming up and making a meal of this moment, which they should, I guess. But I don't know. I don't think it's super interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that there's some very powerful moments. There's some interesting moments. I don't know that we learn anything, but I think it's great that like more and more victims are coming out about this. I think it's so smart that they did this when they did it. Like right as it was starting to die, like the story was starting to come out of the news a little bit. And, you know, I think that was very, very smart. Let me just do a little ending paragraph, conclusion paragraph. In conclusion, that has been this is for so that when I edit it, it won't just cut off immediately. Yeah, I think that was a really interesting 2-hour video. I think that it's really cool that so many of these victims have come forward more and more. I think they did it at a smart time. They got the message out. And I also just think it's awesome to see like people actually able to be like working together with MAGA on this shit. And hey, like she's a terrible person, but props to Marjorie Taylor Greene for showing up, because you know that's gonna piss off Trump. So we'll see what comes of this. I somehow doubt that this act will be passed, but I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of other avenues here. I mean, someone should subpoena the estate of Jeffrey Epstein and get that birthday book. Let's see that naked woman drawing that Donald Trump drew. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay. All right. That's all.